This is Internet Usage Violations Case Study, Threats Over the World Wide Web by Michael Tome. Category 1, Problem Identification. What do we know? We know that this is a wealthy school in a wealthy area that has a lot of high expectations. The student families are made up of residents such as bankers, doctors, lawyers, a lot of upper middle class and upper class folks. We also know that the area is made up of a lot of large homes. They have new cars and they have trendy fashion sense. We know that Mr. Forbes, Dr. Forbes, has been in this school for 9 years as the principal. During this time, he has got a number of different accolades for being a great principal and building leader. We also know that this is looked upon as one of the more prestigious schools in the area as well as the state. Miss Walker, we know that Miss Walker is a very qualified teacher. She came to this school 2 years ago. She came to this school and was hired because of her qualifications with her undergraduate degree as well as her master's degree and some postmaster's work. Her classroom is one that is very strenuous and very stressful for many of the students that are in her classroom. There have been a number of student and parent complaints due to the stressfulness and the low grades that they receive in her classroom. This has been somewhat addressed by the building leader. Dr. Forbes has talked to her about the situation and given her some ways to cope with and deal with some strategies to deal with the stress caused by her teaching strategies. The email and internet site. There has been an email that was sent to Miss Walker as a link to an internet site. This internet site contained inappropriate comments about her and her classroom. Among the comments that were made, there was one about a possible disappearance of Miss Walker, and that can be seen as a death threat and a criminal threat towards Miss Walker. What do we know? We know that Dr. Forbes and Miss Walker had a conversation. Dr. Forbes has been notified of the email and the website. Miss Walker emailed him that website and that email. At first, Dr. Forbes believes that this might be a prank, but is going to give the situation the utmost respect. Miss Walker believes that a boy named Randy might have posted the comments and started the website due to his dislike for Miss Walker as well as his ability on the computer. Dr. Forbes has notified Miss Walker that he will meet with the IT people in the morning. He will also meet with Randy. She is going to be at that meeting with Randy to discuss issues of the case. What do we need to know? There's a bunch of information that we need to get the facts to before all of this should happen. We need to know first off who created the site, who created the email. That is going to be very, very difficult to figure out if the person has any computer savviness whatsoever. A lot of this stuff can be hidden from different IP addresses. Where was the email sent from? If they're not covering their tracks, we should be able to get an IP address to get some knowledge of where the email was sent from. Did anybody else receive the email? Was Miss Walker the only one that received the email, or was it addressed to a number of different people? Were any school computers involved? If we can track down the IP address where the email came from, possible IP address where the internet site was created, we will be able to see if school computers were involved in this situation. Have there ever been emails or sites like this created at this school or in this district before? If this has happened before, did we figure out who had created those things prior to this? We also need to figure out what the school policies are. What are the school policies on verbal threats? What are the school policies on physical threats, on criminal threats? What are our cyber policies? If this was created at school, Do we have policies to deal with this? If this was created at home and sent to a school email account, such as Ms. Walker's, do we have policies to deal with this threat? What do we need to know? Continued legal ramifications. What laws have been broken in this criminal threat? There have been laws broken. There is a criminal threat to her life. So exactly what laws are those? What are the penalties for breaking those laws? We need to know exactly what will happen to somebody that has broken these laws. Are these laws different for juveniles than they are for adults? For all we know, a parent could have done this, as well as a student. If a student did it, what are the ramifications for a student doing this compared to an adult doing this? If the student is older than is 18 or older, is that different than if the student is 15 or 16? We need to know these things. Other incidences. Has this happened before at our district or school? Have any other administrators that I know dealt with something like this? I need to go to my fellow colleagues. I need to talk with fellow colleagues about situations like this before. Have they dealt with these kind of situations before? Miss Walker, what do we need to know from about her and from her? How does Miss Walker feel about this situation? We need to talk to Miss Walker more in depth than just that initial conversation. We need to pull Miss Walker into the in and talk to her about the situation. How does she feel? Is she physically threatened? Does she feel like there's a safety situation with her at school? Is she okay to return to school? Does she feel like she's capable of teaching to our expectations if she is back at school? Does she need emotional help? Can we help her out finding grief counseling? Can we help her out finding somebody to talk to within our school, like a mentor? What other teachers are close to Miss Walker? Who can we have in our school that can help check on Miss Walker to make sure that she is okay? Who can we have to go and talk to Miss Walker to help her through this situation? Category 2, plan of action. So what are the problems that have arisen in this case study? First off, there has been a major threat toward the safety of one of our teachers, Miss Walker. There is a lack of information with regards to where this internet site came from and where this email came from. And there have also been a number of concerns raised by Miss Walker's students as well as her parents with regard to her classroom management and classroom styles. So the resolution of the problems. First, we should meet with Miss Walker. We're going to discuss the situation in detail, have a much broader discussion about what is going on. We're going to update Miss Walker on any new details that pertain to the case. Have we found out anything from the law? Have we found out anything from IT? Have we found out anything from any students that have brought forth any details on the situation? We're going to discuss any concerns that she may have with coming back to the classroom. Does she feel safe enough to come back to the classroom? Does she feel unsafe and does she not believe she should be back in the classroom? We're going to discuss those things. If she does not feel safe enough to return to the classroom, we need to arrange a plan of action. How will we continue to make sure that all of our students are still gaining the information needed, still gaining the education needed for those classes? We're going to provide her with the information that she needs with regards to counseling and stress management during this time. And we're also going to let her know that we're going to slow down this process. Initially, we said that we were going to pull Randy in and somewhat accuse him of doing this, committing this threat. We cannot do that. We need to slow this down before we can accuse any student of a crime. We're going to have more information. So we're going to let her know that this whole process will slow down a little bit. I'm sure she will be somewhat perturbed by this, so we're going to have to explain this to her. Problem resolution, we're going to, the next step, we're also going to meet with our superintendent or human resource officer, depending on how the district is set up. We're going to notify the district leaders of the cause of the situation, as well as any of the details. We're going to ask for suggestions with the resolution to the case. We're going to discuss any district policies that may touch these matters. We'll discuss district policy with regards to any missed time or emotional assistance for Ms. Walker as well. Continuing with plan of action, we're going to meet with law enforcement and any IT people. Can we find out where this email originated? We're going to put our IT people on it as well as law enforcement on it. Can we find out who created the website or submitted the comments on the website? What are the legal ramifications to these threats as far as law enforcement goes? What's the timeline for getting any more information so that we know exactly where we're working? Can we have increased security for Miss Walker? If she does feel threatened, can we have extra patrol for Miss Walker to help her feel more safe with regards to the situation? Addressing the faculty and staff. Plan of action, next we'll address our faculty, we'll address our staff, we'll inform the staff of the situation, we'll ask for any information that they may have, we'll also encourage them to be diligent in observing their students and listening to student conversations that may pertain to this situation to help us resolve it. We'll remind them to be professional, because this will become a topic of conversation, to be professional when talking to students, parents, community members, or any news organizations. Next, we'll address the school and possibly Ms. Walker's class, depending on the size. If the size of the school is huge, we'll probably just address her classes on the topic. If the school is smaller, then we'll address the whole school. As a building leader, I'm not sure I would want to use her specifically and target her class specifically, so that it doesn't draw more attention to her. We'll discuss the legal ramifications as well as district policies for criminal threat. We'll talk about the emotional damages that these things cause, and we'll open up lines of communications to the students. We'll have counselors and administrators available to talk to the students about the situation to try to gain more information. We'll create tip lines on both the internet and phone lines to deal with the situation. We'll create a reward system for any information leading to the identification of the emailer or the site creator. And we'll talk one-on-one with these student leaders, figure out who the leaders in the school are, and talk with them and see if they can give us any information on this topic. We'll notify parents about the situation. We'll send an email as well as a letter home to the parents explaining the situation. We'll identify the problem. We'll explain what we're going to do to address the problem, and any legal or school consequences for the students involved with the issue. How will we promote the success of all students? We'll do this by promoting the success of every student, by promoting a general welfare and safety of all students. We will also, as a building leader, promote the success of all students by safeguarding the values of democracy, equality, and diversity, as well as possible legal consequences of decision making. We cannot start this whole process out by just accusing certain people of this. We need more information before we have a solid lead to accuse somebody. We cannot just accuse this Randy kid of the situation without knowing with facts whether or not he did it. As a building leader, you must promote the success of all students by ensuring teacher time is focused on support of quality instruction and student learning. While she is gone, or while this process is going on, we need to make sure that Ms. Walker's students are still focused on quality instruction and quality learning. What was I feeling, thinking, and valuing? I was thinking, at first, this may be an overreaction. We need more information. We need reassurance. I felt angry. I felt concerned for our staff. I felt confused about her teaching quality. What did I value? I valued safety. I valued steps in the process, and I valued the chain of command. Unresolved issues. We still don't know who created it. We still don't know whether Miss Walker is stable enough to teach, and we still need